Alright, so let's continue on. So I just bolted this down. Now we need to put the shifter together. So here's the shifter. Slide this foam up. I thought this foam was part of the packaging, but it's actually usable. It's actually part of what you need. So you got the shifter here. Right. So in the part of the pack, there's some grease, a big O-ring, and this little thing here, this little ring here with like a little half slot cut out into it on both sides. I should have set that aside. Let's get the grease. So we need the grease here now. So this is some kind of grease. I'm not sure what kind of grease it is. It's Teflon grease, pt.2. That's Teflon, synthetic grease. Rip that off. So basically, we just need to apply that to a ball here. Looking at the old shifter, oh yeah, that's right. The old shifter had lube on it. It was the transmission oil, because the transmission oil splashes up. So I know, eventually this grease that I'm putting on here will basically go away. The transmission oil will basically splash onto this, and it'll, for the most part, it'll go away. Like so, a little bit on the ball as well. The end. You shouldn't need too much on the ball, because you look down into the thing right there. That's the spot where this ball goes in. It's already kind of filled with transmission oil. So. Okay. So be in a groove here as well. Both sides. Okay, so got both sides going. Alright, so now I can put on my my little stuff here. And how it thing gets so dusty, I just barely pull it out of the package. That's the thing, if you want to see dust, the best thing to do is be in the dark and use a light. The light will show the dust very well. So in the daytime, you probably barely see the dust on this stuff, but because it's so bright. But when it's dark, you can see it. So you want to put this so that way, so this ring here, it's kind of cupped on one side. The side that's groove is cupped. This side it's not. All right. So you want to put it so the way the cup side is cupping this ball here. Okay. So it's like so, and you want to line it up so that way the two grooves on the ring lines up with the groove on the ball. All right, like so. All right. So now the grease is actually kind of holding it in place, so it's not moving. Then the big O-ring, goes over and sits on top of that. And from there, you take the little the red, this red piece here, and with the cone of this red piece facing down, so there's a little groove here on this red piece. This O-ring here will fit into that groove of that cone. So this thing is it sits like this. So there's 3 bolt holes lined up with the 3 here, right? So it sits like so. Actually, this thing sits. There's an orientation with this ball as well, because there's 2 grooves, right? So the grooves are on the side, because there's those pins right here, right? There's a pin right here and a pin on each side. It has to line up with the groove, but I think looking at the pictures here, there's a little screw here that screws this ring on right here to keep the spring in place at the proper place. Looking at the pictures, I could have swore I saw this face facing the driver's side, so it's like that. So there's the groove right there. So it should be like this, with that flat side where this little set screw is. And you want to place it in like so. So that way, that O-ring here sits in the groove of the red piece. And then line up this those 2, something like so. All right, something like that. And this will basically just pop right into the right into the groove, and it's in. That's it. So now I need to find the original bolts that came on this 3, which is actually, I left it in my wheel well, passenger wheel well. So I got those 3, and they actually CravenSpeed says CravenSpeed says to Loctite these as well, these 3 bolts. So I'm gonna do that. Shouldn't need much. Seems like my Loctite is not. Oh, there it is. Oops, a little bit too much there. You don't need to drench this thing in Loctite. Just enough that I go around the bolt should be enough. Towards the bottom half of the bolt. So that should be enough. I think that's it for the Loctite. I don't think I need the Loctite anymore, so I'm gonna cap it. Cap this and save it. It's still, still usable. And it's still usable. So those are what? Those are, I think those are 10 millimeters. So I'm gonna get my 10 millimeter socket here. Actually, let me do this by hand first. Faster that way. See, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, you know what? I am missing something. I'm missing this freaking plate. Oops. Almost missed this plate here. So, I'm kind of premature there. Oops. Okay. So the space goes in like so. Same thing with the triangle. The CravenSpeed logo. It's basically it's down right here on this bottom. It's like that. So this plate here is what if you look here, look at this shape here. It's like a shape of a D. This is straight. This is sort of straight, but up here this corner is curved. But over here it's not. It's more well, it's slightly curved, but it's more of an angle. So that the straight side with more of an angle is gonna be the driver's side. So that's the side that's gonna hold the that's supposed to hold the the reverse gear. You know, remember when you push down for reverse. So it's not pitch dark yet, but it's pretty dark now. So I think I mentioned I spent like an hour scraping the the old TV, the old RTV off. Okay, so I'm just tighten it by hand and just do a little test movement right here. This should slip underneath for reverse. Hopefully you guys can see that. Like so. Let's see. Push down. Oops. See, so right now if I go like this, that's first, right? So to go into reverse, gotta push it down so that way it clears that. Then I could go into reverse. Now that's reverse right there. Wow. Everything feels so tight. It feels really tight. You know, everything here is basically it's all metal on metal now. You know, the original, the stock one. Looking at the stock one here. This ball here, it's riding on this piece. You know, it's plastic. This piece here is plastic. The one that replaced this piece is actually you know, all this here is all plastic. It's the piece then there is actually a metal, I believe. Oops, knocked the camera. So I believe it's actually metal. So it's all metal on metal. So it's a lot more a solid feel. At the same time, it's also it's gonna be a little rough, especially at the beginning when it's still new. It's gonna take, oh, I don't know, maybe at least a couple hundred miles at the very minimum to break in. I'm thinking even more than that, maybe even like 1,000 miles to fully break in. Or you know, or if you drive a lot of city driving where you're shifting a lot, then it'll break in faster. But if you drive mostly highway driving, freeway driving, it'll take longer to break in. All right, so man, that's real short. Ooh, that's short. Holy cow, that's really short. Wow, I'm not sure if I could get used to that. So looking at the other video, remember we measured the original shifting points of the original one. Let me measure this one real fast. Where's my measure tape? Where's that measure tape? It's around here somewhere. There it is. So here's my measure tape. So the other one was, you know, 3 inches, right? So here's neutral. Let's see, I'm gonna hold it right at the 2. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just go into third gear. And actually, I was measuring at the top of the shifter. Top of the shifter. At the middle. All right. So this my tape measure end here is at the middle of the shifter, and I'm in third gear. This is at, it looks like 1 inch and about less than a quarter. Let's see, more than an eighth. It's like 3/16. Previously it went to about 1.5 inch. This one goes down to 2 and a little bit past 2 1/4, like 2 5/16 maybe. Not quite 3/16. Excuse me, not 3/16. I mean 3/8. Not 3/8. I think it's like 5/16. Little past 2 1/4. So previously with the stock, it went from, you know, the top was at 0 and it went all the way to 3. So this one goes to you know, losing that much. But just by your hand, at least by my hand, it feels a lot shorter. Man, that thing is like a solid click. Very solid click. So remember, this straight the shape here, it also matches up with this ring down here too as well, because of the straight shape of this ring. As you're shifting, you know, for example, from first to second, it matches in there, and just like fifth gear in this corner to sixth gear in this corner, it matches, so it mates together. Wow, it's very clicky, very click 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 in there. It's very mechanical feeling. Wow, I like it. It feels, you know, you feel more connected to the car. That's cool. I like that. Okay, so I'm ready to tighten these down. I'm ready to tighten those down. I'm good here. We start putting the rest of it back together. Let's see. Where's that little thingamabob? That little gasket thing right here. So this little flap right here, like so. So this is the seal that seals the passenger cabin from outside, because if you look down here, you can actually see the exhaust pipe and you can see the ground. If you have a look down in here. So that's what that is. That seals that, and it has a little foam gasket here. So basically just slide this all the way in, all the way down. Yeah. And obviously I'm gonna go so far because the shape of this piece here, you know, all around on the top edge is rounded, but when you get to down here, it's like a it's like a corner now on these two ends here. So this thing isn't shaped for that. This thing here is shaped for the rounded end up there. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I think that's as far as down as that goes. So I'm gonna just use the rest of it to be about the same height. Okay, it's like so. So it's actually kind of lifted up, because remember that spacer lifts this whole entire piece up. So this actually doesn't quite fit there, but later on when you put the other piece on, it will actually squat down onto this. And this thing is like a bellow anyway, so there's a certain amount of movement to it. So it's like so. There. Then you put this piece on. And there's always an F right here. F means front, and it shows arrow towards the front. And this piece on here. So on the stock one, this thing actually goes around the stock shifter, right? Because the stock shifter is fat right here. So this thing hugs it, whereas the CravenSpeed is not. It's thin. If you bought the Cork Sport, the Cork Sport actually is also shaped big like this, so it actually fits. And originally I was going to buy the Cork Sport, but the reason why I didn't buy the Cork Sport, not because of you know, this thing, the change is 30%. The Cork Sport is only 14%, but that's not why I bought this thing, because it has a shorter throw. But the reason why I bought this thing is because of the cover. When I saw that cover, I was like, oh man, I have to. I was like, I have to have it. You know, it was like, it looks so sexy to me. It reminded me like of the old Italian cars and the high-end exotic cars, where the shifters, you know, there's a gate for each gear, right? But that's what it reminded me of when I saw that cover. I was like, ooh, even though it's not a gated shifter, but it still kind of resembles that a little bit with an exposed shift stick. Because you look at all the modern shifters, you don't see the shift stick. It's just, you know, the boot, then the knob, and that's it. You know, you don't see nothing else. But with this CravenSpeed cover, it was like, I saw that, I was like, whoa man, that looks sexy. So I had to have it. It looking sexy. Sexy. Okay, so that's also a 10mm as well. These ones, last time I had to use a deep socket. I'm going on 20 minutes. So I'm pretty much gonna stop here. So the folks that all you have is the shifter only and you don't have the cover. So what you need to do is you need to put this foam that comes with the kit. This foam goes around here like so, and it goes all the way down. Then you can put everything back. You know, the cover, the plastic cover, then the bezel, then the shift knob, right? But I actually have the cover, so I'm gonna so mine's a little bit different. So I'm actually gonna make another video on that. I'm gonna tighten these down, then make another video on that. So this shifter, this bar here, I believe it's also shorter than the stock one, by just a tiny bit, like I think a few millimeters or something like that, if I can remember right. But I'm not exactly sure. You guys should look that up. I know the Cork Sport one is actually taller. The Cork Sport one is actually I think theirs is like 10 millimeters taller, so almost half an inch taller. But this one here is neither the same height or slightly shorter, by a few millimeters, maybe a quarter inch at the most. Okay, that's tight. So that's it. So thanks for watching.